Jax's revenge domain.
You know that sound when an electronic lock clicks shut and you realize you're screwed? That's exactly what I heard at 11:47 p.m. when Bryce Hoffman sealed me inside our data center. "Maybe a night alone will fix your attitude," he said, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. I heard them laughing as they walked away. 8 hours later, when they opened that door, their faces went white as printer paper. They had no idea what I'd accessed. I'm Warren Caldwell, 48 years old, and I used to think I knew how corporate politics worked. Boy, was I wrong about that. So here's the thing, I'd been at Pinnacle Financial Services for 22 years. Started there when I was 26, fresh out of the Navy with a head full of network security knowledge and zero patience for corporate nonsense. Built their entire infrastructure from the ground up. Every cable, every router, every security protocol that kept client money safe, that was my work. But let me back up and tell you how I ended up locked in my own server room like some kind of lab rat. 3 months ago, our company got bought by Apex Technology Consulting. You know how these mergers go, right? Big smiles, handshakes all around, promises that nothing's gonna change. Same old lies they tell before everything changes. The first red flag should have been when they brought in Bryce Hoffman as our new CTO. This kid's 32 years old with some fancy MBA from Wharton and exactly zero hands-on experience with actual technology. The kind of guy who thinks you can download network security from iTunes. Bryce's big vision was something he called digital transformation. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? What it really meant was moving everything to some third-party cloud service within 90 days. When I explained why that timeline was completely insane, little things like federal compliance requirements and not wanting client data scattered across the internet, he looked at me like I'd suggested we go back to keeping records on stone tablets. "Warren," he says during our first meeting, "I understand you've been here a long time, but legacy thinking is exactly what's holding this organization back. We need fresh perspectives, not resistance to progress." Legacy thinking, that's what he called 2 decades of building security systems that had passed every federal audit for 8 straight years without a single violation. The same systems that protected $500 million in client assets. Legacy thinking. Over the next few weeks, Bryce started implementing his brilliant vision of modern efficiency. He brought in consultants who charged twice what our current vendors charged. He approved cloud migration proposals from companies I'd never heard of, and trust me, I know every legitimate player in this business. Most concerning, he started giving system access to Apex Technology people without going through proper verification procedures. That's when things got interesting. See, when you've been maintaining a network for 22 years, you develop instincts, like when traffic patterns start looking wrong during off hours, or when you notice data packets routing to IP addresses that aren't on your authorized destination list, or when file access logs show someone downloading client portfolio information at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. I spent 3 weeks documenting everything: packet captures, bandwidth reports, unauthorized access attempts, the whole 9 yards. The evidence pointed to one pretty obvious conclusion. Somebody was systematically stealing client data and proprietary information from our systems, so I did what any reasonable person would do. I took my findings to Bryce. "Big mistake. These are routine system updates and backup procedures," he said, barely glancing at the 47 pages of documentation I'd prepared. "Your paranoia about external connections is exactly the kind of outdated security theater we're moving beyond." "Bryce," I said, trying to keep my voice level, "this isn't paranoia. These are forensic logs showing unauthorized data transfers to competitor IP addresses." "Competitor addresses?" He actually laughed. "Warren, you're seeing conspiracies where none exist. Apex Technology is part of our corporate family now. Data sharing between divisions is standard operational procedure. But here's what Bryce didn't know. I'd already traced those IP addresses. 3 of them belong to Hamilton Strategic Partners, our biggest competitor in the wealth management space. These guys had been trying to poach our high-value clients for years, and suddenly they had access to detailed portfolio information and trading algorithms that took us 15 years to develop. So I made what turned out to be a tactical error. I went over Bryce's head to Amanda Foster, our legal counsel, laid out the evidence, explained the compliance violations, recommended an immediate security audit. Amanda listened carefully, asked smart questions about the technical details, and promised to investigate. What I didn't know was that Amanda went straight to Bryce within 2 hours and told him everything. The retaliation was swift and creative. "Warren, we need to talk," Bryce announced the next morning. He'd assembled the entire IT department in the main conference room, all 12 people I'd hired and trained over the years. People who knew exactly what those network logs meant. "It's come to my attention," Bryce said, pacing around like he was delivering some TED talk about leadership, "that we have a classic case of institutional resistance to change. Warren's been here so long, he thinks he owns these systems. He can't accept that his role is evolving beyond simple maintenance tasks. The other team members just sat there looking uncomfortable. I could see it in their faces. They knew this was wrong, but nobody wanted to paint a target on their own back. So here's what we're going to do, Bryce continued, building up to his big moment. Warren is going to spend some quality time in our secure facility tonight. Away from distractions, away from conspiracy theories, just him and the systems he claims to understand so well. That's corporate speak for we're locking you in the server room overnight to teach you a lesson. The secure facility was our Tier 3 data center, the kind of place that costs more per square foot than most people's apartments. Reinforced concrete walls, biometric access controls, environmental systems that could keep servers happy in the middle of a tornado. It was also completely cut off from the main building, with zero cell service and no way to contact the outside world once that door locked. At 11:45 p.m., Bryce walked me to the facility entrance like he was doing me some kind of favor. Think of this as a learning opportunity, he said, swiping his executive access card. When we let you out tomorrow morning, I expect a more collaborative attitude toward our transformation initiatives. The heavy door closed behind me with that final mechanical thunk you hear in prison movies. There I was, alone with 200 servers humming in climate-controlled darkness. Now most people would probably panic at this point, start pounding on the door, maybe have a breakdown about being trapped. But here's what Bryce didn't think through. He'd just locked me inside the one place where I had complete access to every piece of data flowing through Pinnacle's entire network. I mean, think about it. This guy wanted to punish me by giving me unlimited time with the systems I'd built and 8 hours of uninterrupted access to investigate exactly what I'd been trying to investigate. It's like locking a kid in a candy store and expecting them to learn restraint. I started with the basics, pulled up terminal access to our core routing systems. From there, I could monitor every active connection in real time. Kind of like having a God's eye view of all our network traffic. Within 30 minutes, I'd identified 17 separate data streams routing client information to external destinations. But this wasn't some random hacker throwing spaghetti at the wall. Someone had built sophisticated extraction protocols that triggered during specific time windows. Client portfolio data getting exported every Tuesday at 2:30 a.m. Trading algorithm updates forwarded to external systems every Friday evening. Even our proprietary risk assessment models, the stuff that took our quants 3 years to develop, getting copied to servers I didn't recognize. The technical sophistication told me this was an inside job. You don't just stumble onto this level of access. Someone with administrative privileges had built these backdoors into our system architecture. Someone who understood our security protocols well enough to hide the transfers in what looked like routine maintenance traffic. So I started digging into the access logs for the past 90 days. Every unauthorized configuration change had been implemented using Bryce's executive credentials. But here's where it got interesting. The timing didn't match his known schedule. These changes were happening during weekends and holidays when Bryce was supposedly playing golf or whatever rich kids do with their free time. That's when I found the smoking gun. Buried about 400 lines deep in the authentication logs was a secondary account created 3 weeks after the merger. The account had identical administrative privileges to Bryce's primary login, but it was tied to a different employee ID number. An employee ID that, when I traced it through our HR database, belonged to Hamilton Strategic Partners' payroll system. Let me spell this out for you. Bryce wasn't just implementing bad security practices. This guy was actively facilitating corporate espionage. I spent the next 4 hours building the most comprehensive audit trail you've ever seen. Screenshots of unauthorized data transfers with timestamps. Network topology maps showing exactly how the stolen information was being routed to competitor systems. Authentication logs proving the existence of the covert access account. Financial records showing which specific clients were being targeted for poaching. By 4 a.m., I had enough evidence to end careers and trigger federal investigations. But I wasn't done yet. See, when you've been in IT security for 22 years, you learn to think like the bad guys, and the bad guys always have cleanup procedures. So I started looking for signs that someone was trying to cover their tracks. Sure enough, there were scheduled deletion scripts set to run the following Monday morning. Scripts designed to wipe the authentication logs, purge the routing records, and eliminate any trace of the unauthorized data transfers. If I hadn't been locked in here tonight, this evidence would have disappeared forever by next week. I copied everything to multiple backup locations. Encrypted drives, off-site storage, even printed hard copies on the emergency printer we kept in the data center. No way this evidence was disappearing now. Around 6 a.m., I started putting together my presentation. Not some boring PowerPoint deck, I'm talking about a real-time demonstration that would show exactly how the theft was happening. I configured the monitoring systems to display the unauthorized transfers in real time, set up network visualization tools that would trace the data paths, and prepared forensic reports that would make FBI cybercrime specialists weep with joy. Then I sat back and waited for my captors to return. The door unlocked at exactly 8:15 a.m. Bryce walked in with that same smug confidence, probably expecting to find me broken and compliant after a night of corporate punishment. Instead, he found me sitting calmly at my workstation, surrounded by 3 monitors displaying enough evidence to sink his entire operation. "Good morning, Warren," he said, still playing his executive role. "I trust you've had time to reconsider your position on our modernization efforts." "Actually, yes," I replied, swiveling my chair around so he could see the screens. "I've had a very productive night." His face went from executive confidence to genuine terror in about 2 seconds flat. What is this?" "This," I said, gesturing to the displays, "is a complete forensic analysis of your unauthorized data extraction operation. 23 separate violations of federal financial data protection regulations, industrial espionage targeting 47 high-value clients, and evidence that you've been operating a covert access account tied directly to Hamilton Strategic Partners." Bryce's hands started shaking. I could actually see sweat beading up on his forehead. "Warren, I think you're misinterpreting some routine system operations. The FBI Cybercrime Division will determine what constitutes routine operations," I interrupted. "I've already scheduled a meeting with Special Agent Patterson for 2 p.m. today. You can't just. We can work this out internally. There's no need to involve outside agencies." "Internal resolution was definitely an option," I said, standing up slowly. "Right up until you locked me in here overnight, like some kind of corporate prisoner. Now this is a federal matter involving financial data theft and industrial espionage." The look on Bryce's face was priceless. You know that expression people get when they realize they've been playing chess while the other guy's been playing 4D chess? That was Bryce right then. He actually stumbled backward against the door frame. "Listen, Warren," he started, trying to recover his executive composure. "I think there's been a serious misunderstanding here. Maybe we should call my attorney before making any hasty decisions about federal involvement." "Your attorney?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Buddy, you're going to need a whole law firm, and maybe a good criminal defense specialist while you're at it." I clicked through the evidence on my screens. Real-time network traffic showing data packets flowing to Hamilton Strategic. Authentication logs with his covert account credentials. Financial records showing which clients were being targeted. It was like watching a masterclass in corporate espionage, except the master was about to get arrested. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I mean, did you plan this from day one, or did Hamilton Strategic recruit you after the merger announcement?" Bryce just stared at the monitors like they were speaking ancient Greek. Poor guy probably never expected to get caught by the legacy-thinking dinosaur he just tried to humiliate. "You don't understand the bigger picture," he finally said, attempting one last play at authority. "Apex Technology has relationships across multiple industry verticals. Data sharing agreements are standard practice in modern business environments." "Data sharing agreements," I repeated slowly. "Is that what we're calling industrial espionage these days?" I pulled up another screen showing the deletion scripts scheduled to run Monday morning. "And I suppose these evidence destruction protocols are just part of standard data lifecycle management." His face went even paler, if that was possible. "Look," I said, spinning back toward him in my chair, "here's what's going to happen. In about 6 hours, Agent Patterson from the FBI's Cybercrime Division is going to walk through that door with a warrant to image our servers. Behind him will be forensic accountants who specialize in financial fraud cases. They're going to find everything I found, plus probably stuff I missed." "But Warren," Bryce said, and I swear his voice cracked a little, "we can resolve this internally. I'm authorized to offer you a promotion, a substantial raise, stock options, a promotion." I stood up and walked closer to him. "You mean like the promotion you were going to give me before you discovered I was documenting your crime spree?" The thing is, guys like Bryce never really understand people like me. They think everyone has a price, that every problem can be solved with money or corporate politics. They can't wrap their heads around the idea that some people actually care about doing the right thing. "Here's what you're going to do," I said. "You're going to walk out of this room and go directly to Amanda Foster's office. You're going to tell her exactly what you've been doing. Then you're going to call Hamilton Strategic and inform them that their little data buffet is officially closed." "I can't just," he started. "Or," I interrupted, "you can wait for the FBI to explain it to you. Your choice." Bryce looked around the server room like he was hoping to find an escape hatch hidden behind one of the equipment racks. "What about Apex Technology? This goes way beyond just me." There are corporate directives, strategic partnerships. That's exactly what Agent Patterson is going to want to hear about, I said. The bigger the conspiracy, the more interested federal prosecutors get. You could actually see the moment when reality hit him. His shoulders sagged, his executive posture completely collapsed, and he looked like exactly what he was, a 32-year-old kid who'd gotten in way over his head. "How did you figure it out so quickly?" he asked. "Quickly?" I laughed. "Bryce, I've been tracking this for 3 weeks. You just gave me 8 uninterrupted hours to put all the pieces together, but the deletion scripts were scheduled to run Monday morning. Today's Friday. That gave me the whole weekend to document everything before your cleanup protocols kicked in." I sat back down and started preparing the final evidence package. The funny thing is, if you just left me alone, I might not have been able to prove the connection to Hamilton's strategic. But locking me in here with unlimited access to the systems, that was a tactical error of epic proportions. Bryce stood there for another minute, probably calculating his options. Spoiler alert, he didn't have any good ones. "What happens to the company?" he finally asked. "Pinnacle will be fine. Better than fine, actually. Once this gets out, every wealth management firm in the country is going to want to know how we built security systems, so robust that even our own executives couldn't compromise them without getting caught. And my team at Apex, the ones who were in on it, they're going to have some interesting conversations with federal agents. The ones who weren't, they'll probably find new jobs pretty quickly. Corporate espionage specialists are always in demand somewhere." I finished compiling the evidence package and started the secure transfer to my backup locations. You know what the really ironic part is? If you just listened to my security concerns instead of dismissing them as legacy thinking, we could have prevented this whole mess. How? Simple. Proper access controls, activity monitoring, data loss prevention protocols, all the stuff you wanted to eliminate as outdated security theater. Those systems aren't just designed to keep bad guys out. They're designed to detect when someone's trying to steal data regardless of their authorization level. Bryce nodded slowly, like a student finally understanding a math concept that had been confusing him all semester. "I'm going to walk out of here now," he said quietly. "I need to make some phone calls." "Good idea. I'd start with a lawyer if I were you. A good one." After he left, I sat back in my chair and looked around the server room. 22 years of my life had gone into building this infrastructure. Every cable, every configuration, every security protocol, and in one night it had done exactly what I'd designed it to do: protect the company and catch the bad guys. Even when one of the bad guys was wearing an executive title and trying to destroy everything I'd built. 3 hours later, I was sitting in Amanda Foster's conference room watching federal agents set up their equipment. Agent Patterson turned out to be exactly what you'd expect from an FBI cybercrime specialist, mid-40s, no-nonsense attitude, and the kind of technical knowledge that made me respect law enforcement a whole lot more. "Mr. Caldwell," he said, reviewing the evidence package I'd prepared, "this is some of the most comprehensive documentation we've seen in a corporate espionage case. How long did it take you to compile all this?" "About 8 hours," I replied, though I'd been tracking suspicious activity for 3 weeks before last night. 8 hours? Patterson looked impressed. Most forensic accounting teams take weeks to build this level of evidence. Well, they locked me in the server room with nothing else to do. Sometimes the best way to catch criminals is to give them enough rope to hang themselves. By noon, the scope of the operation was becoming clear. Apex Technology wasn't just targeting Pinnacle. They'd used the same playbook at 4 other companies over the past 2 years. Industrial espionage disguised as corporate modernization. They'd steal client lists, proprietary algorithms, and trading strategies, then sell the information to competitors before moving on to the next acquisition target. The financial impact was staggering. Hamilton Strategic had used our stolen client data to poach 23 high-value accounts, representing approximately $84 million in managed assets. Our proprietary risk assessment algorithms had been reverse-engineered and sold to 3 different hedge funds. Even our employee training materials had been copied and repackaged as consulting services. This wasn't just corporate espionage, Patterson explained during a break in the investigation. This was a systematic criminal enterprise using merger and acquisition activity as cover for intellectual property theft. By 3 p.m., Bryce was in federal custody. His covert access account had been traced back to a sophisticated network of shell companies all controlled by Hamilton Strategic. The deletion scripts he'd scheduled weren't just designed to cover up the Pinnacle theft. They were identical to cleanup protocols used at the 4 previous target companies. Amanda Foster called me into her office around 4 p.m. She looked like someone who'd just discovered that her house had been burgled while she was on vacation.
"Warren," she said, "I owe you an apology, and probably a lot more than that. You were doing your job," I replied. "Bryce was your client, and you reported what I told you.
I understand the position you were in. Still, if I'd pushed harder for that security audit instead of just passing along your concerns. Amanda, don't beat yourself up. These guys were professionals. They knew exactly how to manipulate corporate processes to avoid scrutiny. She nodded, but I could tell she was still processing the magnitude of what had happened. The board wants to meet with you Monday morning. There's going to be some significant organizational changes that turned out to be an understatement. Within 2 weeks, Pinnacle had terminated its relationship with Apex Technology and initiated civil litigation to recover damages. The FBI investigation expanded to include corporate executives at Hamilton Strategic and 3 other wealth management firms that had purchased stolen information. 2 executives were arrested, and federal prosecutors were considering RICO charges for running a criminal enterprise. As for me, the board offered me the position of Chief Information Security Officer with a mandate to rebuild our security infrastructure and serve as an expert witness in the federal prosecution. The salary increase was substantial, but honestly, that wasn't what mattered most. What mattered was that 22 years of experience suddenly had value again. All those legacy thinking security protocols that Bryce wanted to eliminate, they became the foundation for a new industry standard in financial data protection. 6 months later, I was invited to speak at the National Association of Corporate Security Directors annual conference. The title of my presentation was When Your Own Executive Team Becomes the Threat Vector, a case study in internal espionage detection. The conference room was packed. 300 security professionals, all dealing with the same challenge. How do you protect a company when the biggest threats might be wearing executive titles and carrying corporate credit cards? During the Q&A session, a CISO from a major insurance company asked the question that summed up everything. How do we balance modernization initiatives with security concerns when upper management sees compliance requirements as obstacles to innovation? Simple, I replied. You document everything. You build systems that detect unauthorized access regardless of authorization level. And you never ever compromise on data protection protocols just because someone with an MBA thinks they're outdated. The audience laughed, but they also understood the serious point. Technical expertise isn't just about knowing how systems work. It's about understanding how systems fail and designing protections that work even when human judgment fails. These days, Pinnacle's security infrastructure is considered a model for the industry. We've had 3 major consulting firms try to hire our entire security team, and 2 universities have asked to use our protocols as case studies in their cybersecurity programs. More importantly, we've prevented 2 additional espionage attempts. Both were detected within hours instead of weeks, and both were stopped before any client data was compromised. The monitoring systems I designed during that 8-hour lock-in have become the industry standard for real-time threat detection. The federal prosecution resulted in convictions for 7 executives across 4 companies. Bryce received 5 years for conspiracy and wire fraud. Hamilton Strategic was fined $47 million and banned from federal contracting for 10 years. Apex Technology dissolved completely, and 3 of their modernization consultants are still awaiting trial. But here's what I really learned from this whole experience, and this is important, so pay attention. When someone tries to diminish your expertise based on age or experience, when they dismiss your concerns as legacy thinking or resistance to change, that's usually a red flag that they're trying to hide something. Real innovation builds on proven foundations. It doesn't require destroying everything that came before. Your experience has value. Your institutional knowledge matters. And when some 32-year-old MBA with a fancy degree tries to tell you that everything you've learned over decades of work is obsolete, that's when you need to start documenting everything and asking hard questions. Because in my experience, the people who are most eager to bypass security protocols usually have reasons for wanting to avoid scrutiny. Trust your instincts, protect your work, and never let anyone convince you that competence is a liability just because it comes with gray hair.